everyone, my name is Marissa and I'm going to do a tutorial today for the Potomac Bead Company. For today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this bracelet that I'm calling my mixed bead bracelet. Now, for today's tutorial, we're going to use a whole bunch of different products. So let's go over those. You are going to need Ava beads. You're going to need round trios, round duos, disc duos, O beads, rondelles in the 3x4 and 2x3, as well as 15 O's and just a little bit of 11 O's. Now, if you notice, most of these products are exclusive to the Potomac Bead Company. Now, the exclusive products are the Avas, round trios, disc duos, round duos, the crystals, and I'm also using a cup button, also exclusive to them. You may recognize this bracelet that I'm about to make. It was one of the entries for the Potomac Bead Challenge for 2017, and on there I called it my fruit salad bracelet, but when I went on YouTube I saw that another designer had a bracelet nowhere near similar to mine, but they had the same name, so just to avoid anything I decided to change the name. So if it looks familiar, that's why. Okay, so the colors I've chosen for the Avas are the Labrador color, the Crystal Labrador. For the round trios, I've chosen the metallic aqua. For the disc duos, I've chosen the marine metallic ice. For the round duos, I've chosen the sunflower yellow. For my crystals, the 3x4, I've chosen just a crystal AB. The 2x3, I've chosen the metallic transparent blue. And for my other beads, the O beads that I'm using the crystal golden rainbow. I've chosen two colors on the 15 O's. I've chosen the Crystal Labrador Full, and I've also chosen the Miyuki brand in the matte gray AB. Now, they're gray AB, but they look kind of blue. They have that bluish color to them, and I thought they'd go really well with my round trio, so that's why I chose them. And you're not going to need very many of your 11 O's. You're only going to need them, well, you may not even want to use them, but I like to use them for right here when I put my cup button or whatever clasp you like to use. I like to use that to attach my cup button and then to put my loop. So that's what I'm using the 11 O's for. But again, you can also use your 15 O's for that. It's just a preference. I prefer to use 11 O's. I'm also using, as I said, a cup button, and I'm using the Crystal AB, a very shiny, pretty color. To string everything on, I'm using .006 Wildfire in white. You are going to need 2 needles. This is a 2-needle project. I would definitely not recommend doing it with 1 needle. And I'm using size 10 beading needles. You are also, on my needles, I have roughly about 6 feet of thread. We might need to add more, depending on the size of your bracelet. My bracelet is a little bit smaller than 7 inches, and I believe I was able to do it with 6 feet. But depending on the length of yours, you might need to restring your needles. Another good thing about this project is we're using a whole bunch of different kinds of beads, but you're not using a whole lot of each bead. For example, your Avas, on mine I only used 10. My disc duos I only used 20. My round trios I only used 5. And on my round duos I used 8. since that's for the little unit in the middle, I only used 8. Crystals, the same thing. I used 4 per unit. I did 5, so I used 20 crystals, plus 1 more for my button and 1 more for here for my loop, but that's optional. You don't need to do that. You might need another tool you will need are either scissors or a thread burner to burn your thread when you're done. A good thing handy for this also are flat nose pliers to flatten your thread to make threading your needles easier. And then once we start going into these little 15-0s, you might need your flat nose pliers to help you pull your needles out of those beads. So go ahead and get your materials together and we will get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is put on our cup button. So make sure you have threaded both of your needles and make sure that your tails have the same amount of thread. That way when you center your cup button, you have the same amount of threaded on each needle. So mine's good and I'm going to start. So I'm going to decorate the top of my cup button, and to do that I am going to thread a 15-0, a rondelle, and another 15-0. And again, you can just use seed beads if you like. You don't need to do this with rondelles. I'm going to put one needle in one hole and my other needle in the other hole through the bowl side. So it should look like this, and pull. Now here's where we're going to use our 11-0s. We're going to pick up 3 11-0s on each needle. And I have little piles of my beads. Make sure that you have checked all of your multiple hole beads to make sure none of them have clogged holes in them. Okay, I have 3 on each needle. Now I'm going to get another one more 11-0, and I'm going to go in the same direction through that needle. Through that bead. So just pull it down and make sure that you have the same amount of thread on each needle, and it should look like this. You have a V. Now we're going to pick up our 15-0s, and I'm going to pick up 3 on each needle. Three. Three on each needle. Just like that. We're going to pick up our first Ava bead. And we are going to go through, we're going to cross our needles with my left needle going towards the right through the hole in the pointy side. And my right hand needle is going to go through that same hole, and it's going to come out through the left, on the left side. So let's cross in there and pull. And this is what you should have. And if it looks all kinds of funky, just fix it up a bit to where it lays like that. Now, we're going to be working with our 15-0s, our Avas, our 3x4 rondelles, our round trios, and our O beads. So we're coming out of the hole at the pointy section. Now we want to jump over to the other hole on both sides of our Ava with the needle corresponding to that side. So we are going to pick up a 15-0 on each needle, a rondelle, and another 15-0. Each needle, 15-0, rondelle, 15-0. Let those drop. And then with your needle on your left hand, go into this hole, which would be the hole on your left hand side of your Ava. Just like this. And having a little trouble here. So this is what you should have. My left needle went in through the hole here. My right needle went into the hole on this side. Now we're coming out of the inside of the Ava, and we're going to pick up a 15-0 on each needle, an O bead, an O bead, and do this on each needle. 15-0, an O bead on each needle. Let those drop and pick up your round trio and put one needle through one of the end holes and put your other needle through the other end hole. In other words, you're going to have this: a needle and thread going into each of your end holes of your round trio with the middle hole empty. So go ahead and pull your threads. And now we're going to mirror what we did up to this point. We're going to pick up an O bead on each needle. An O bead on each needle. A 15-0 on each needle. And then we're going to go in through our next Ava. This time we're going to go in through the inside of the Ava. Now when I say inside, I see this like a V, obviously, and this to me is the inside. So whenever I say inside, I mean this here. So we're going to go in through the inside. Your needle on your left hand is going to go in through the hole there on the left side of the inside of the Ava. The needle on your right hand is going to go through the right hole on the right side of the inside of your Ava. And it's going to go in just like that. And this is what you should have. Now we want to hop on over to the hole at the pointy section of our Ava. So we're going to do this again, this little grouping again. On each of your needles, a 15-0, a rondelle, and a 15-0, 15-0, rondelle, 15-0, and we are going to take our needles and cross through that hole at the pointy side of our Ava, with the left needle coming out on your right side and your right needle coming out on your left side, just like that. So this is what you should have. Now we're going to do the middle unit that's going to connect all of our Avas. We want to do how we did here. So we're going to pick up 3 15-0s on each needle. 3, just like that. Let those drop. Pick up another 15-0 and cross through that needle, just like that, and pull. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to start another unit. Just the way we started here after we put on our cut button, we're going to pick up 3 15-0s on each needle. Just like that. Let those drop. Pick up another Ava. This time we are going to cross again through the hole at the pointy section of our Ava. So in other words, we're not going to go through the inside. We're going to be on the outside, and we're going to cross through that hole at the point, just like this. So this is what you should have. And now we're going to hop on over to this part of our Ava to end up in the inside of it. So if it's laced kind of weirdy, just kind of fix it. All right. So now we're going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle, and if you see me changing colors of my 15-0s, it's only because I don't want too much Labrador up against the Labrador Ava. So that's why I'm also using the second color. But you don't have to do that. You can just use one color. You can just use one color. I'm choosing 2 just for that reason. So now with this needle, I'm going to go in through this hole. So we're going to end up with both of our needles coming out through the inside of our Ava. Just like that. Like that. And we're going to pick up this section here again. So we're going to do 15-0 on each needle, O bead on each needle. I'm going to go do that with my right. And O bead. Again, pick up your round trio, one hole in this end, and we're not going to use our middle hole at all. And we're going to bring this needle in through this end and pull both of our needles. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up O bead on each needle, 15-0 on each needle. Let those drop. O bead on my other needle, 15-0 on my other needle. And we're going to pick up an Ava, and we're going to go in through the inside of our Ava. So we're going to end up on the outside. So this needle goes in through this hole. And then do the same thing with your other needle. Through this hole. Just like that. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to hop on over and cross through the hole at the pointy section of our Ava, and we're going to pick up this grouping again of 15-0 rondelle, 15-0 on each needle, 15-0 rondelle, 15-0, and cross through this hole at the pointy section of your Ava with this needle, with your left needle going in, coming out on the right side, and with your right needle going in, coming out on your left side. And this is what you should have. And pull tight, because you don't want a whole bunch of thread showing here where your rondelle and 15-0s are. Now we're going to pick up 3 15-0s on each needle again, and we're going to pick up a 4th one and cross through that one to get to do our middle unit just like that. So go ahead and keep on doing this the length of your wrist, and it's not going to shrink. So once it fits, you can go ahead and stop, but when you stop, just make sure you have a complete unit. You don't want to do half a unit and stop. You want to do a complete one and end like this, the way we started. Okay, so I did all my little units with my Avas and my round trios. And at the last one, I put my 3/15 on each needle and I crossed just how I did here at the beginning through an 11/0. But again, you can use 15/0 here in this part if you want. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my loop, but I need mine just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put a rondelle. I'm going to put a rondelle, and I'm going to take both of my needles through it, just like that. Whoop. You might not want to do that to your rondelles, but with your threads, because you can cut your thread. So just don't do it like that. Okay, I'm going to take my rondelle out because I crossed through my needle, and what I need to do is take my needle through it. Take both of my needles through this one in both directions. So I crossed through it, wasn't supposed to cross through it. Okay, so I have it here at the end, and I already have one needle going through it. I'm going to take my other one and go through it as well. So this is what I should have. Now that's correct. Okay, so now I'm going to take my rondelle, and I'm also going to do the same thing with my rondelle. I'm going to take both of my needles and take it through the rondelle, going in the same direction, just like that. And again, I'm going to pull my thread, but I'm there. That way I don't cut my thread. Now I'm going to make my loop. I'm going to pick up enough 11/0 to go through my cut button, and I'm going to have to add maybe one or two more, just to make sure I have enough for the cut button and my crystal. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Okay, so I went ahead and I made my loop, and all I did was, after I threaded my 11/0, I went back through the rondelle, came out through the 11/0 on the other side of the rondelle, and with my other thread I went up the 11/0, up the rondelle, through all of the beads in the loop, and then back down the rondelle and down the 11/0. So now both of my needles are coming out of this 11/0. So one side is going to go through the 15/0 on my left, and my other needle is going to come out, going to go through the 15/0 on my right, in through here, and through here. So this is what you should have. Now we're going to work with, you can put your 3x4 crystals away and your O beads away, and we're going to work with our disc duos, and I'll put them here, and our roundos. You can put your round trios away as well. So we're still going to be using our 15/0. Okay, so you're coming out of the 15 O's on both sides here. Now we want to get into the middle area there. So go into with your needle on your left hand side, going through the hole of your ava and come out on your right side and go in through this group right here, the 15-0, the rondelle, and the 15-0. And do that on both sides. This needle into that hole of your ava. If you come out of the 15-0 on the other side by the rondelle, that's fine, because you're going to go through those. Okay, so you're coming out of your 15-0s here, next to this grouping here of your 15-0, rondelle, and 15-0. Now we're not done. We're going to go into your ava on both sides, but let's do one at a time. We're going to go into the 15-0, into the O bead, and come out on the other side of your round trio. Make sure you do not catch the O bead on the other side. So on this side, do the same thing. Into the 15-0, into the ava and the 15-0, pull. Go into the O bead and the round trio. Do not come out through the O bead on the other side, and make sure that you stay in the correct holes, that you are not in the middle hole. Now you're coming out, both of your needles, both of your threads are coming out of your round trio on the holes on the ends again. Now what we're going to do is pick up. We're going to use our 15-0s and our disc duos here. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a disc duo, and if you're using a disc duo that has where you have the shiny side and this side, just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that they're all facing up the same direction. So I have a 15-0, a disc duo, pick up another 15-0, and again you're going to do this on each of your needles and go through that same hole of your round trio that you're coming out of, but go in through the opposite direction. So this is what you should have, and this is what you should have. Now your 15-0 is not going to sit in between your O bead and your round trio. It's going to sit on top of your O bead. So once you're there, you're coming out of your round trio. Now you can go through the O bead on the other side, the 15-0, and out the ava. So this is what you have, and do that on your other side. 15-0, disc duo, disc duo. I'm checking both my holes because I didn't check these. And 15-0. I'm coming out of the hole of the round trio there. I'm going to go in through that same hole, but going in the opposite direction. And this is what I have. Kind of fix it a bit so you don't have a whole lot of thread showing. You can do that by kind of lifting your 15-0 on the other side, because again your 15-0s are going to sit on top of your O beads. It's kind of hard to pull on camera, but you can do it. Just make sure they kind of sit above the O bead. Okay, now go in through that O bead and the 15-0 there and the ava and come out. When you tighten it, it'll make everything sit better. So that's what you should have. Both of your threads, your needle and threads, are coming out of your ava here. Now we're going to go in through this group again of 15-0 rondelle and 15-0. Go in through the hole of the ava at the point and come out on the other side. Do not catch the 15-0 that is grouped with this rondelle when you're coming out. So do that on this side too. Go through the 15-0, the rondelle 15-0, pull, and go through the ava, the hole at the pointy side, and come out on the other side. Do not catch that 15-0 that's grouped there with the rondelle. And let me take this out because I don't want to, there, and pull tight. And this is what you should have. Now we're here coming out at the point of our ava with one thread going in one direction, the other thread in the other. Go through 2 of your 15-0s here. Pick up a round duo. Don't put anything on your needle. Just pick up the round duo. And go through these 15-0s here. Skip the one here and go through these last 2. And this is what you should have. You have a round duo sitting right there. And that's going to form an X here with these 15-0s. So do that on this side. Pick up the first 2 15-0s here. Where you had picked up 3 on your first pass, go through the first 2 and pull. Pick up a round duo, and checking my holes now, but I should have done that earlier, but I'm checking them now. Let that drop, and then here you're going to go in through these last 2 15-0s. You're going to skip the first one, go in through these 2 and pull, and your round duo is going to sit there. It's going to sit there looking weird, but that's okay. We will fix that when we do our third pass. So we're here. Now we're going to cross our needles in that hole at the pointy section of our ava, with the needle on your right hand side going in, coming out on your left hand side, and your needle on your left hand side going in. I don't want to, there. With your needle on your left hand side going into that same hole, you're crossing in there, remember, and then come out through your right hand side. Pull, and then you're going to go through this grouping again of your 15-0 rondelle 15-0, and 15-0. And if you can go through that ava, go ahead. If you can't, like I can't, then just do it after you go in through this grouping. It's easier. Yeah. Come out. Now we need to go in through the 15-0. And if you need to bend your bracelet, that's fine. And kind of push beads out of the way with your fingernail, do it, because that helps a lot. You can do this, but when you're trying to do something on camera, it's harder. But when you don't have that to worry about, it's way easier. Okay, now I'm in there. I'm going to come out of my round trail, and I'm not going to catch the O bead. And I am in the correct hole because I'm checking, and the middle hole is empty. So I'm going to pick up my 15-0, my disc duo, my 15-0. I'm going to go through that same round trio, the same hole, but in the opposite direction. And come out. And that's what you should have. Now you can go through the O bead, 15-0, and in through your Ava. And if you catch that 15-0 there, that's fine because we're going to go through those anyway to come out. Now let's do that on the other side. 15-0 here with this grouping here with the 15-0s, rondelle and 15-0. Just like that. In through this 15-0. And in through the Ava, pull. Now I'm going to go in through this 15-0. I'm going to have to use my left hand. Through this 15-0. And I moved it out of the way with my fingernail. Come out through the other side. Do not pick up that O bead because we're going to pick up this little grouping here of 15-0, disc duo, and 15-0, and go through the same hole of the round trio in the opposite direction. Do not pick up the O bead as you're doing that on this side. Pull. Now you can go through that O bead, the 15-0 next to it, and come out of your Ava. If you catch the 15-0 there, that's fine. If you get it at a weird angle, just kind of push it, yeah. And that's what you should have. And when you pull, makes everything sit better. Okay. Now, going through the rondelle, in through that 15-0, and then the hole right there at your Ava, and come out. Put this needle down. Do the same on this side. That little grouping there of 15-0 rondelle, 15-0, in through that hole of the Ava, come out on the other side. Now this time do not get the 15-0 that's there with the grouping of the rondelle, 15-0 rondelle, and pull. This is what you should have. Now we're back up here to the pointy side of our Ava. Pick up your first two 15-0s, pull, pick up a roundel, let it drop here next to this little X. Now pick up here, you have these 3 15-0s next to the pointy hole of your Ava. Pick up the last two. Skip the first one, pick up the last two and pull. And don't catch your rondelle. And do that on the other side. Going to go in through the first two 15-0s, pull, pick up a round duo. Now I'm here. I'm going to pick up from these 3 15-0s here at the point of my Ava. I'm going to skip the first one and pick up the last two and pull. So this is what you should have. And go ahead and do that to the remainder of your bracelet, all the way down. And I will show you what to do next. If you have any problem, just rewind the video and I'll meet you back in a minute. Okay, so this is what we have, and it looks very weird, but we're not done. So you should be coming out of, after you've added your disc duos and your round duos, you should be coming out of the hole at the point of your Ava with one thread going in one direction, the other thread going in the other direction. Now let's, on your left side, go up these three, down up this middle 11-0, and then up these 3 11-0s, and we're going to reinforce our cup button. So when you come out, just make sure you catch that bead if you have a bead on the other side. Go through your middle bead, and then down the other bead on the other side of, and when you go down that the bead on that side, make sure you go down these beads here, whatever you have there, if they're 15-0s or 11-0s. Go through this middle bead and down these beads here. And do that on with both of your needles. Okay, so I'm coming out here. I'm going to go up these 3. This 11-0 in the middle. This is another reason why I like doing this with 11-0s, because it makes it easier when it comes time to reinforce. I can just do it quicker than if I had 15-0s there. If I had 15-0s there, it'd probably be harder. And I like to do 3 threads in through my cup button and also into my loop. So I'm coming out here. See, I want to make sure I don't come out on the same side as the other threads. So I'm going to go in through this one and come out through these. Now this is the easy part. Let's just get into position, and this is the easy part because it's nothing but embellishments. We're going to add our crystals and some more 15-0s, but we're not going to be going in through the inner part of our Ava anymore, and through the round trios and through the O beads. We're just going to be on the outer part of our bracelet. So I'm going to flip it around. This is going to be my top part, and there is going to be a top and a bottom because it's going to kind of cup a bit. I don't know if you can tell that, but very, very little around here with your disc duos. Okay, so I'm coming out of my 15-0 here before my grouping of 15-0, rondelle, 15-0. I'm coming out of that 15-0. I'm going to go through the rondelle only. I'm not going to go through the 15-0 on the other side. I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s, go in through the disc duo, and come out. No, I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself. Okay, back up. Pick up, and I took off one 15-0 too. Pick up one 15-0, a rondelle, but this time you're going to get your other size, your 2x3, and another 15-0. So 15-0, 2x3 rondelle, and your next 15-0. Go through the disc duo, come out. Now we're going to decorate the top part of our disc duo there. So we're going to get 5 more 15-0s. Now this part may vary depending on what kind of 15-0s you're using. If there's too much space there showing, you can do 6, but I'm going to do 5. Now I'm coming out of my disc duo and I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do 15-0, rondelle, 15-0. I'm going to go in through this grouping here of 15-0, rondelle, 15-0. I'm going to go through the rondelle only and come out. Now we're going to pick up 2 more 15-0s. Go through the other hole of your round duo and pull. Coming out of the round duo, pick up 2 more 15-0s. Go through this rondelle. Do not go through any of the 15-0s that are in front of it or after it. Pick up 2. Now we're right before our disc duo again. Pick up 15-0, 2x3 rondelle, 15-0. Go through your disc duo. And now we're going to, let's hold on and let's catch up. That way we have the same tension on both sides of our bracelet. So I'm here on this side. I'm in the 15-0. I'm going to come out of the rondelle. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a 2x3 rondelle, a 15-0, and go through this disc duo here. Now I'm going to pick up 5 more 15-0s, and I'm going to decorate the outside of the disc duo by going in through that same disc duo again, but in the opposite direction of where I'm coming out of. I'm going to pull, and I'm going to pick up 15-0, rondelle, 15-0 again, and this time I'm going to go through the rondelle only and pull, and now I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s. I'm going to go through this round duo, pull, and I'm going to pick up 2 round duos again, and I'm going to go through this rondelle here and the rondelle only, and I'm going to pull. So this is what you should have. Now I'm caught up. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle, a 2x3 rondelle, and another 15-0. Going to go through this disc duo. And this is what you should have. So go ahead with your embellishments. Don't get too far off on one side. Just go ahead and do 1 unit of Avas, and then your round duos on one and then on the other, and then continue. Don't get up ahead too much. That way it doesn't pull too much to one side. So go ahead and finish your embellishments, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so we are finished. I've already finished my embellishments. I've added all of my 15-0s and my 2x3 rondelles on the edges here, and I've made it to the end, and I'm coming out of this 11-0 here. See, here you have 3 15-0s, and here you have 3 15-0s and an 11-0, and I'm meeting my threads in the back, and I'm just going to tie a knot, and then I will burn my thread. I've already tied one once off camera, and I'm just going to tie it 2 more times, and then I will glue it. But again, I will do that off camera. I'm just going to burn my threads down for now, just so we can look at it. And this is what you should have. So this is our mixed bead bracelet. And if you turn it around to the back, you can see how our disc duos, well, I don't know if you can really tell, but they kind of cup a bit, and they are on top of the round trios, on top of the The 15 O's are sitting on top of the O beads that are by the round trios. So it kind of cups just a bit. And this is how it looks on. It looks very neat. It lays flat except for that little subtle cupping. But this is how it looks, and it feels really good and is very comfortable. So this is what you have. And again, the discos, roundos, round trios, Ava beads, the cup button, and the type of roundels I used are all from Potomac Bead Company. So you will have to get them from Potomac Bead Company. The O beads and the seed beads, which are the 11 O's and the 15 O's that I used, you can get anywhere else. But this is what we should have. I hope you enjoyed making this project, and I hope you like it, and thank you very much for watching.